Alright, welcome back everyone to another episode on the Mindcrack server. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Monday. I recorded this. I tried to record this. And apparently, instead of clicking record on OBS, I clicked go live. And luckily, I was only about 3-4 minutes into it. But apparently I was live. So I was live for a bit. I didn't have my chat open, so I don't even know if anyone was talking. So we'll retry this. So today, okay, so basically what I started with was I was talking to a non-existent recording about my hype video that I made this morning, or not this morning, just before recording this episode. And it is so much easier, like, when you have good footage to work with and you're editing a video, it's so beneficial to have good video, because it makes everyone it makes your work look 10 times better, and you don't, like, it's not even, like, on you, like, you didn't do anything with that, but it just makes it so much better, and the production quality just... Because when you don't have any footage to work with, you can't make a video. When you have really good footage, even if you screw up, even if you're not, like, feeling it all, like, if you're not having a good day and you just feel like you're not editing as well as you could be, it doesn't look good. So it was a good day. It was a good video. I'm enjoying it. The past 2-3 videos have been really good, I think. But I had to give compliments to my not cinematographer, sports guy, sports film, whatever you call it. I don't even know what you'd call that job. So I'm looking at this from the outside. I built this earlier off camera, and it looks good from the outside to an extent. It's kind of tiny compared to the entire barn. But when you get on the inside, this is like the first time looking at this, but it doesn't look good. Maybe I'd change it to the spruce wood, and that'll kind of make it, and then fill in the bottom. Maybe because it looks weird with a hole in it, right? Like, you don't want a barn to have holes in it because you want it to be warm, right? And maybe I just get rid of the windows now that I'm thinking about how barns usually work. It's usually you try to keep a barn warm. I'm glad that I have... Oh, he's leaving now. As I was about to say that, I'm glad that I have people living in my house. I added these barrels, so I wanted to, like, my original plan was to have all my storage in the barn. But now that I think about it, it's kind of weird to have all of your storage in a barn, right? Like, for this kind of thing, I started putting, like, the food and seeds and stuff in here. But with a barn, you don't really have, like, other than the kind of stuff that I'm putting in here right now, you wouldn't necessarily have these kind of, like, you wouldn't have, like, netherrack in a barn. I don't know. I might have to do something about that. I have these boots. I don't have any levels, though. That was the issue. Maybe I have enough levels now. I have a book somewhere. Right there. Feather falling. What do I need for feather falling? I can put it on there. Cool. I do want to get... Oh, you know what? I was going to enchant them. That was the reason I was waiting on that. Well, wasted. Wasted opportunity. Just want to check that I'm recording, and I'm recording. Okay, cool. Don't want any mishaps again. That was real sad when I realized that. It was also nerve-wracking that I realized, oh shoot, I'm live. Somebody might be watching me. And then I got real stressed all of a sudden. My blood pressure spiked. I went not jungle. I went caving. That's the word I'm looking for. I went caving earlier, and I'm going to go do that again. Because I need resources, and I want to start on some redstone. I want to start making redstone. I want to start making some buildings, and I want to do more with redstone. Like, I was watching... God, who was I watching? I think his name's... Like, I've never watched anybody do redstone before. I think it was... Is his name Mumbo Jumbo? I don't know. Watching him and Seth... I was watching another Seth Bling video. I've never watched one of... Like, I don't watch a whole lot of his videos because redstone goes over my head. But just, like, watching... Like, looking at all the different contraptions that you can make and, like, the different farms and stuff. Like, I've never touched redstone, but I want to, like, learn it, right? And I'm trying to think of the best way to learn it. Like, do I just go off tutorials and learn it that way? Or do I, like, try and figure out how to do certain, like, specific things on my own by just testing it? I mean, obviously, tutorials are probably the better way to go about doing it. Okay, so let me put some of this stuff away. Let's get rid of the seeds here. Let's start editing this inventory, moving stuff around. Put the bones down here. I gotta figure out this inventory system. It's so bad. This is so bad. Let's clear out of the inventory. I think 2 stacks of wood should be fine. I've been bringing like half a stack of logs normally when I go on these caving expeditions, but I never end up using even like a third of it. So I might not even need that much wood. But depending on how far or how long we go caving for. Because we need redstone, we want to get some more resources in general. Maybe start, like, make a beacon at some point. So we're going to want a lot more iron than what we have. We're doing pretty well. I will need to go to the end soon. Make a trip to the end. And grab some shulkers. I want to get shulkers so I can get those shulker boxes. I've never made a shulker box, so I don't know what they look like. But I want one of them. So I can carry around things when I go caving. Let's see here. Let's put this chest. Well, let's keep the chest piece. Let's get rid of... I just want to get rid of as much stuff as possible. This 10 steak is not going to be enough. Let's see here. As we put all the food away, I need your meat. Let's see here. Grab some of this. I think that should be good now. Do we wait till nighttime? Yeah, we can wait till nighttime. Okay, so story time. So Saturday was my last day at the grocery store. I gave my 2-week notice 2 weeks ago, obviously. So today was my Saturday was my last day, and it was pretty... It wasn't emotional. I think that I'd been there long enough, and I hated the job for so long, that it kind of just like a finally over with. And the thing was, like, if I had quit like a year ago, it probably would have been more emotional, because that's when all my friends were still working there. But right now, no, like, I was the last person there. Everybody else is new and sucks at their job, and it was just frustrating. All the managers were just terrible, and I was the last person to realize, hey, I should probably just quit. And there's no reason to be working here anymore. And so it was a little less, it was like a, thank God I'm done with this job after so long. And so, in memory of this previous job, I'd like to just take a moment and remember some of the highlights of this terrible job that I had. It wasn't, I mean, granted, it wasn't the best job, but it's not as bad as I'm making it out to be. It was pretty casual. Well, it was pretty casual until I realized what I was missing when it came to other jobs, right? So when you work at a grocery store and you're part-time and that's the only job you've ever known, it's not that bad. Like, it's honestly pretty easy work. And it was good. Like, it was like ignorance is bliss, right? You don't know what you're missing until you don't know what you're missing unless you experience it. And ever since I got my full-time job, it's been like, because like beforehand it was like, I mean, what's the worst I'm doing? Like, I'm just standing around for however long and picking up boxes and opening them up, and God, there's just nothing out here, is there? I wonder how long this goes for. But yeah, when I got that full-time job, it was this realization of like, holy crap, I can actually enjoy my job instead of just like being like, it's alright. Could be worse. And boy, did I realize how wrong I was. Could be so much better. I don't know if this actually goes anywhere. It doesn't look like there's much over there. You know, I'm not. Yeah, it doesn't go down any. I just want a cave. So yeah, let's. So I think one of the earliest memories that I have of the store is when I was checking. I was. Okay, so I was a checker. And we had this thing called a fuel saver program. And so sometimes people forget their fuel saver card, and you can look it up by their phone number, which most people take very much advantage of when that happens, because no one ever wants to remember it, so they rely on you being able to take their phone number. Alright, this goes to a mine shaft. This is the highest mine shaft I've ever seen. But I have no coal. Right off the bat, we already got a diamond and a golden apple, guys. We're sitting real good. There's coal over here. Let me go grab it. And so we had this fuel saver program. People will use their phone number to look up their account. You know what? I grabbed torches out of that. I don't know what I'm doing. And so this priest comes up, and I'm a really bad, like, when it comes to memorization, I am the worst. Give me a name, and I'll forget it, like, 3 seconds later. There's no remembering names for myself. Like, I cannot remember names to save my life. So this priest comes up, and I ask him if he has his fuel saver card. He's like, no, but can you look it up on, like, can you look it up? My phone number? And I'm just like, yeah, I can do that. And most people just expect you to have the best memory in the world, or like be able to have the best short-term memory at least. And he's rattling off this phone number, and I'm getting all flustered because I haven't even opened up, because this damn UI that they have for the store, like for checking, is so bad. It's just so bad. It's the worst, really. And I'm sitting there trying to finagle with this UI, trying to figure out where to enter in, because I still hadn't figured out how to get to this thing, and it took me forever to find it. And he's rattling off this number, and I'm kind of like still pressing buttons, and I guess he assumes that I'm typing his number, which I'm definitely not. And then I'm just like, yeah, could you say that again? I missed it, or whatever. And he says it again, and as I'm typing it, like, I get lost in... Oh, Jesus. Wow! Jesus, that man just shot him right into me. All these guys. And I'm just like, oh, was it? I screwed up the number and I entered it in. It wasn't there. I'm just like, could you say it again? I think I missed it. And he says it again. And I think this went on 3 more times. Like, I'm just like, I couldn't understand what he was saying because he was saying it so fast, and I can't comprehend when you say things fast. Like, normally when you give a number to me, I like it when it's, you give me 3 numbers, I enter those 3 numbers in. But this man would not do it for the life of him. And it could have been that his number wasn't even activated, like it wasn't even in the system, and I could have been getting it right the entire time, to be honest. But anyway, he gets really angry at me, and I'm like, I've never made a priest angry before, so this is a first, and I felt so embarrassed, and like, this was like the first, like, one of my first weeks as a checker, and it was terrible. It was awful. I get embarrassed real quick in those situations, and it was just not a fun situation, and it made me want to quit my job, and I was only like a year into working there. Oh my god. Another story. Oh, hey, look, there's babies. Oh my god, stop. Please just stop. I can't hit him. I couldn't kill him to save my life there. So the second story is also a checker story. And a couple comes up, and they're putting all their items up there, and finally gets to the end of the order, and he puts a watermelon up on the belt. So I grab him, and the guy kind of looks at me. He's just like, "Hey, no." So the wife put the watermelon down, and the guy kind of looks at me. He's just like, "Hey, put my wife's melons down." It was just like, I got scared whenever he he said hey, and I'm like, oh god, what'd I do? And then he just like, we both burst out laughing, and his wife wife or girlfriend just like, stop it. I'm just like, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. To play off of that, last week, or the last day, it was Saturday. Jeez, it's been a long week. It's only Monday too. It's even worse. Last week was long. So my last day, I'm checking, and this guy comes up, and he places his tea down. He has a huge gallon of the sweet tea or whatnot. Places down on the counter, and for whatever reason, normally I don't ask people if they want a bag for a gallon of a tea, because it already has a handle on it. So normally, for me, I'm just like, if you want a bag, you'll ask for it. I don't need to ask. But for whatever reason, I decided I needed to ask him, and I'm just like, sir, would you like your tea bagged? And I don't think he caught on. He's just like, no. I'm just like, oh, okay. And I'm just trying not to burst out laughing because I just said this moronic thing. I was not expecting it to come out that way until I said it. I'm just like, oh, I just realized what I just said. There's been some when you work at a grocery store with friends, that's when things are that's when you're happy, right? That's when things are going good. Is when you're working with friends and you kind of goof around. There's not really any worries. It's very I get stressed so easily at these kind of jobs when I have to deal with people. Okay, guy, I'm going to kill you now. Do not touch me. Whew. And just having friends there is it makes it so much better, because you can Like, especially when your manager's cool with that kind of thing. Like, he's also the one goofing off. Like, that's when... There's more over there. What are some other stories that I have? I have so, like... I was trying to make a list of all the things that have happened, and there's just so much that happens at this job. It's kind of weird. Oh my goodness. Hello, guy. Didn't see you there. Is there another spawner over here? Must be on the other side. Oh yeah, there's definitely a spawner over there. I remember one of my very first days at this other store that the most recent store that I worked at. I worked at 3 stores. Well, I worked at 4 stores, but one of them was like a day there. It was like my mom wanted me to work at her store for an hour or whatever, just because she was low on help or something. But 3 main stores, and I remember when I got to this last store. My very first, like, I at this point, I'd only worked, like, a year at that other store, the 2 stores beforehand. And so, I didn't really understand how most things worked. And I was kind of like, I just mind my own business. I really didn't, like, pay attention to everything. But on my first day at that store, these idiot, like, I've never seen an idiot in my life, no. But this guy, like, they're off goofing off in the back room, and I'm in dairy. I work in dairy, and these guys were throwing milks in the back room as far as they could without breaking it. That was the game that they were playing, and I wanted no part of this. And it was just like this realization, just like, well, why? Like, what makes you think that this is a good idea in any sense, ever? I don't get it. That was a very strange day, and I remember him getting. It wasn't because of that, but he was fired like a week after I was there. Like, he was not there for very long. I think he was only there for 2 weeks before that. Like, I don't think he was there very long, because I was one of the first people. Like, that store had just opened up when I started. Like, it was open for like 6 months before that, so it's fairly new. Like, I was in a system that didn't really have all the kinks worked out and stuff. But my manager was amazing. I think he was one of my best managers that I've ever had. Well, mainly because he liked me. Like, most, it made it easy when I was the only, like, worker there. Like, everybody else kind of screwing around. And that's another thing, is when you're working with a bunch of idiots and you actually do your job, it's so much easier. It's just like, it's so much easier to get your boss to like you, because you don't need to do anything, because everything's already done for you. That's not what I meant to say. What am I trying to say here? I'm losing my train of thought. It's so much easier to be noticed when everybody else around you sucks at their job, and you can just do the bare minimum, and all of a sudden you're better than anybody, and everybody loves you. It's like, I didn't even try. What? Please. And that's not a good situation for a store when that's the case. Because I didn't feel like I was the best worker, but I felt like I did go above and beyond some of the time, so I can understand where they're coming from, but at the same time, like, really didn't do a whole lot. Okay, cool. This goes down. But as the years went on, I definitely became a lot. I slacked a lot when it came, like, the last 2 years, because some of my best friends started working there. Like, to begin with, this does not go anywhere. Oh boy. Let's see here. Where are we at? 23. Let's dig down just a bit, see if we can find any more cave. Probably not. But yeah, when I started to get to know the people there, that's when things went downhill. One of the guys that worked there when I first joined, Steel, he was a character. He was somebody that, like, most people didn't get along with, but I enjoyed it. Like, there's some employees that you just, when you see that you're working with them, it's like, okay, it's gonna be a pretty slack-filled day, and it's gonna be enjoyable because there's gonna be something that happens. Because this kid was the most, like, what do I want to say here? He did not take shit from anyone. This, like, whether or not he deserved it, like, if he deserved it, he'd still, like, he still felt like he was in the right, even when he was definitely wrong. So, we had this system where we will, let's see, okay, where we get called up. You can get called up to do, you can check, like, to check or whatever. So even if we're in dairy, we still get called up to do things up front, which it's intended that way, but at the same time, it's not really meant to be abused, which a lot of managers did when we were there, where they would call us up for 6 hours of our shift, and nothing would get done in dairy, and then we would end up getting yelled at because of it, and then you would try to explain it to the upfront managers, but they would never, they didn't have any of it. Like, a lot of the and the thing is, they were all assistant managers. Like, none of them had any actual power, none of them could fire you, but they acted like they owned the entire store. And when you told them that you couldn't go up there for legitimate reasons, they would get so angry, like, unnecessarily angry at you. And, like, I understand, like, you're in a situation where you don't have employees up front with you, and you need extra help or whatever. I can understand that, but if you're gonna call me up for that long during my shift where I'm supposed to be working in dairy, like, you can't have me up there for 3 hours of my shift. It just doesn't work that way. And so that's when I would get angry. But still, anytime that they called him up, he was so rebellious, and he didn't want to go up ever. And it made it a lot worse for me because I had to deal with it, and, like, managers would come back and tell me that I needed to go up even when I had been going up, and they would complain that I wasn't going up. And he would just make everything just a lot worse. But it was fun to watch it because he would, like, if he got an argument with a manager, he wouldn't stop until they gave up. And so I remember, I think her name was Bridget or something, but I think I'm going to dig down here somewhere, because we're still, I think this cave's actually done. We'll dig down a little bit more. Anyway, he had been called up like 7 or 8 times in a row, and eventually the managers will always get angry enough to, like, actually come back there and get you and tell you, hey, you need to go up now. Like, we've called you up enough, you can come up. And I remember one day he did not go up, and the manager came back, and I remember she was just screaming at the top of her lungs. Like, we were in the back room, so no, like, customers could hear, but she was, like, threatening to, like, fire him and, like, calling him all sorts of names. And the thing is, I can understand that you're angry that he's not going up, but you're an assistant manager and he's part-time. Like, you can't expect people to go up, right? Especially if you're part-time. Like, you don't get paid enough, and, like, tension's already high the way it is, and when you get an egotistical part-time, or not part-time, like assistant manager that comes back and starts yelling at you. Oh man, did they get like he was just like he didn't see it coming, and afterwards he had like told the store director, and I kid you not, this girl never saw her face again. Never saw her again. And I didn't think it would actually work, but he got her fired. And I don't know how he did it, but whatever he said on the phone with the store director, he got his point across. I think he said something in the lines of he had called, and then he told his mom that nothing had happened, and his mom actually like called him and said, or called the store director and like, hey, my son is not feeling safe when he's at the store, and manager's threatening to fire him over silly things that aren't fireable offenses or whatnot, something along those lines. And yeah, we never saw Bridget again. And another fun story with her is, I wish this cave went further. I might go back up to the surface and try to find a different cave. Because I got so many stories to tell. There's so many things I want to, like, recap. I hear a skeleton, though. Maybe that'll... We did have that... There was those spiders earlier that I heard. See this way? Yeah. Is he down? Where you at, Mr. Skeleton? Is he in this wall? He's up. What level are we at? He might be on the surface, possibly. Hello. Oh, there's two of you. This cave isn't going to go anywhere. So we had this thing called facing where we push everything to the front. We push all the items to the front so customers can easily grab all the items. And so we're technically not required to face at the end of the day, but my manager likes it when it's faced. And it used to be a rule where we had to get... Ooh, this might actually go somewhere. So we used to have a rule where we needed to get checked out before we could leave. Like, a manager had to be like, okay, yeah, everything looks faced in your department, you can go home or whatnot. But then that rule kind of, like, as managers came and went, that rule didn't really apply. And this was back when it did, though. I think this is back when it was still, like, there was still a few managers around that still required you to get checked out before you could leave. And Steele, being the overly dramatic person, he was telling me about this man. This was when Bridget first started working here, and he was talking about this manager that, like, thought that facing, like, required, like, some of the most precise, detailed work in the world, and I just, like, there's no way. Like, you're making this up, or you're being super dramatic about it. There's no way. Like, you probably just suck at you probably just suck at facing, and that's the reason why she's... This is a really cool cave. And so... She kind of, like, I didn't believe him, whatever. And so there was one night where I was working with her, and I'm like, oh, I can actually see if Steele is a big fat liar, if she actually is a Nazi about this whole thing. And it turns out he was actually right. It turns out that she thinks that facing is an art, apparently. So I've been told, like, my mom, it was a joke kind of thing, but she had put me, like, for a week, she put me as facing manager because I was the only person that actually enjoyed facing, and I was actually decent at it. So whenever she was my boss, she promoted me to facing manager. And so that's always been an ongoing joke about that. But I have had managers in the past tell me that I actually do. Because once again, people don't do their job, and if you just do some work, it looks perfect to them, because no one else will do it. And so, I've always been, like, under the assumption, like, oh, I mean, I'm decent at this, so there's no way that anyone's gonna criticize me about it, considering that other people don't. And I faced, and it took me about, it takes me about an hour every night to do it. And this lady, I go up there, I'm just like, hey, can I get somebody to check dairy so I can go home? And they're just like, yeah, I'll go back there with you. So we walk back there. We kind of, like, go up and down the aisle, and I'm kind of nervous because I'm just like, maybe, are you angry at me? You weren't angry at me. Took a lot of damage there. It's because I don't have my chest piece on. I definitely should have my chest piece on when I'm caving like this. And so, it seemed like she was fine. Like, she didn't have, like, I was trying to watch her facial expressions. She didn't seem like she was super angry or anything. But at the end of it, like, it was I thought, because I knew that she was working that night, and I kind of figured that she was going to be checking my department. And I wanted to make sure that this was perfect, just so I could prove Steel wrong, that you just suck at your job. And I thought I did. Like, I spent an hour. Like, normally it's like 30 minutes, but I spent like an hour on this stuff. And I was like, okay, she's gonna give me, like, she's gonna praise me. This is gonna be great. And then get done after we walk the aisle. She looks at me dead in the face. You think this is good? And I'm just like, yeah. And she's just like, you need to do this all over again. And it's 9 o'clock. I'm off at this point. And I'm just like, I kind of look at her, just mortified, and she just walks away. I'm like, without a chance to say anything, she just walks away, and I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? I was so infuriated because I'm just like, I've never had a manager tell me that I was bad at facing, even though no one else in the store does it. Like, I'm the only person here that actually faces, and I was just irrationally angry for whatever reason. And then she gets fired, and like the poetic justice of it all, she gets fired. The thing is, the entire store, like, if you'd walk down the store, the other aisles, nothing else would have been faced. Like, our department is the only one that ever gets faced at night. And if you go to other departments, it looks like trash. It looks like straight up trash. No one else faces in the store because they hate it so much. And I actually put effort into it. And then for her to call me out was just like the tipping point. And that was like 2 years ago, so obviously it wasn't like a big tipping point that I decided to quit the job or anything. But I was more just shocked than anything. Shocked and angry. Irrationally angry. I shouldn't have been angry. There was no reason to be angry, but here I was, just dead silent, just sitting in the aisle left out. And like, the thing is, when it's face perfectly like that, and she tells you to redo it, like, what do you mean? Like, you want me to, like, go through the aisle and break everything and then redo it, and then have you come back over and check it? And then I just left. Like, there was no point. She's just like, come back to me when you're done. And I'm like, no, I'm going home. I don't know who you are. I don't know why you're so angry about people not facing, but I'm going home because I'm done with my shift. And then what's funny is the next time that I worked, like, I had a manager come through. He's just like, man, you actually do that. Like, you actually face, and no one else faces. I'm just like, yeah. And I told them about the story, like the lady who was super angry that I didn't face correctly, and we kind of laughed about it. It was funny. We all laughed about it. Don't pay any mind to her. But I think that's a good stopping point. I'm gonna finish this cave. I think it's a big cave. We didn't really find much in terms of diamond. We got a stack of iron, got some gold, got my redstone that I wanted. We're pretty good on, like, I have like 50 diamonds. I don't need a whole lot of diamonds. There's not really, like, if I wanted diamonds, I could just strip mine. It wouldn't be a big deal. I think the biggest thing is iron, and I got enough iron to last me for a bit. I hope you guys have enjoyed my grocery store stories. I have more of them. I could tell these for 3 hours. I've been working there I worked there for 7 years, actually 6 years and like 11 and a half months. I would have been there 7 years, yeah, in like 2 weeks, I think. 2 weeks from today. So I have stories. I have plenty of stories. So if you want to hear more stories about the adventures at a grocery store, and it's funny because everyone complains about how customers are the biggest issue in retail, but I honestly never had a problem with angry customers. And that's the funny thing is every terrible moment that's ever happened at that store is because of a manager, and it's kind of like the opposite. I feel like a lot of people have issues with managers in general, but I never had a problem with any customers. I feel like the customers are always like the number one thing everybody talks about when it comes to retail, and that's just not the case for me, at least. I always enjoy it, like, with the customers that complained and stuff. It wasn't like super like they were yelling at me, or maybe, and if they ever did do that, it's like I don't care what you think. Great, cool. I think it's just customers don't get to me. I think that was the thing. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed. Let me know if you liked the video. Leave a like. If you didn't, let me know what I can change, and see you guys in the next one.